Hi, and welcome back to Hope Springs. I'm Hazel Hislop, and I'm here with my colleague Sylvia. Today, the topic is dare to be different. Dare to be different. So, knowing that being different is a gift. And we wanted to bring this topic because it's such an interesting topic to talk about. And for many of you who are looking and listening, you would be, I'm sure, able to connect with some of the experiences of being different. So think about how having a difference or being unique in your life has helped you to maybe it's stopped you to achieve certain things in your life, but also it's helped you to become who you are. So we want to explore that. We want to share some personal stories as well as maybe give examples of how we've seen it affect people in our work, and maybe leave you with a few things to think about as we progress. So, Sylvia, how are you today?
I'm great, thank you. How are you? I know it's very hot out
Um,
there.
yes, it is very hot, and I'm sorry if anyone's hearing my fan whirring in the background, but it's really hot. I'm not complaining because it has been raining and cold, but it's just trying to adapt to the difference. But also, I've had braces in for the last 3 weeks, so I'm trying to train them to talk differently. So sometimes my mouth gets stuck in my braces. So I'm sorry. Again, you might find notice that I'm trying to readjust my mouth at times to not get unstuck. So yeah, it's been fine. How about you? Because I know I think the last time we spoke, were you in Poland when we spoke? We did the last
Yes,
video.
yes. And I'm still here. I'm still really enjoy the weather and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's hotter than probably the UK, isn't it? But we're still complaining in the UK.
Yeah, well, there are days that it's very hot. Today it's okay actually, so I enjoy a bit of breeze.
Okay. So how do you feel about this topic when we decided to do it? I mean, what was your first reaction and thoughts around the topic?
Well, definitely, like it resonated with me, just because
Mhm.
there were many moments in my life that I felt different, and as like there are always some situation. I would say that everybody feels different at some
Mhm.
point of their lives, through their career or like through their childhood or any or through their relationship sometimes, so yeah, I do believe it's true for everyone, and everyone will find something for themselves in this topic. What do you
Yes,
think?
yeah. I mean, I think that's true. And as you were talking, I was thinking, well, what is different? Because some people might not necessarily understand what we mean by that. Well, they probably would, but maybe we might be thinking of it differently. And you said a really important thing around everyone would experience difference in varying ways. So I like the topic because maybe it's been something that it's been has influenced my life all my life, even as a child. Um, and I've always been very aware of my difference in terms of who I was in my family, in my community, and it's kind of helped me to become aware of myself in a positive way. But when I was younger, it also had negative impact because I thought being different was a bad thing. So my understanding of difference in this context is more on looking different, feeling different, having a different experience. So you won't fit in, you won't have necessarily the same ideas as other people, you won't look the same, you won't think the same. And at times you probably would be maybe questioning yourself about who am I and how come, I can't be like other people. So that's kind of how I've experienced it. So I think it's a really important topic, but also it's something that I think we need to address in the workplace because there's so many people who are becoming stressed and having burnout, trying to fit in and trying to adapt and be like everyone else. So I'm excited about talking about this topic.
Yeah.
So And maybe it would be interesting, well, intriguing. I don't know if that's the right word, but maybe it'd be good to talk about, share some experiences of sharing one negative experience of how difference has not worked for you, or your or negative experience of being different, and a positive experience of um, being different, or share more than one, two stories if you want to.
Okay, cool. So I would start like, probably our first experiences, and I'm not probably isolated in that, is when we were small. So for me, I always had challenges in the way I looked. So, for example, children would pick up on me. I've heard one boy telling me that I have fat thighs, and like, this is just the way I'm built. But I obviously took it very personally because I was a child. I didn't understand certain things. I've heard many
Sorry, you said you had what? What thighs? I didn't hear that.
fat thighs.
Oh, fat. Oh, sorry. Yes, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
they still fat even nearly 40 years after. So, but now
And
I
I saw them yesterday on Instagram in your short dress, and they look amazing, Sylvia. So,
but as a child I took it personally, and obviously then as a teenager I was trying my best to make them more thin, but it didn't really help. It's just my build, so the problem with especially I would say, well, it's not only physical differences, because it's our psychological differences, is that these are like a natural things, and very often we cannot do anything about it. But yet obviously if somebody will pick on it, we'll try to fix it, and most often we can't. So it could be a huge challenge, especially when you're a child, when you don't have that much support in your parents, or you're not even asking for the support from your parents because you just don't know how to do it. So yeah, tell me about your experiences in that area.
my God, I've got so much, but I'm thinking of childhood experiences, and I think one of the ones that stick out for me was in school in terms of looking different. Although being from Tobago, it's a predominantly black population, but there's different tones and shades of color, and I was one of the darker ones, so I'd be teased for the way I look, and we call like blackie or whatever color. I can't even remember some of them. But what stuck out for me is that in school there was a game called "There's a Brown Girl in the Ring," and then they always choose, like primary school, maybe it was 7 or 8 years old. They would always choose like a girl to you form a ring. All the children hold hands, and then the teacher would pick someone to go in the ring, and the little girl will run around in the ring and skip and dance, and you'll be singing "There's a brown girl in the ring, la 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 la," and she will, like it's her moment. All the attention is on her, and I never got picked. And I noticed that all the girls that got picked were the girls with a slightly browner skin or lighter skin, or the popular girls. And so, and that kind of went through towards even in as I got older in the school. Like we had like every year there was a competition for um I forgot the name, but it's like a queen show, like like how the Americans do the prom, not prom,
Mhm.
where the little girls model and show off their pretty
Yeah.
clothes. And I would never get picked for something like that. It would always be the girls who got like longer hair or look light in skin. So that kind of made me, even if I didn't understand as a child, I thought I was ugly. I thought there was something wrong with me, and I thought that I'm not good enough. So even from that young age, I was very aware. And at some point, must be in my teenage years, I was trying to lighten my skin, like buy the cream to make my skin look lighter, to have my hair straightened. And unfortunately, I noticed a lot of black young women or black women. I don't know if now, but that was a common thing, which has had a negative impact on us as a culture. So that was my experience from a negative point of view. So I was afraid to be seen, like not want to like be at the center of attention or
Mm,
after as I got older, because I thought there was something, I wasn't pretty enough, I wasn't beautiful enough. So that's how my experience of growing up in that
mhm,
environment.
mhm. Yeah, I think like
Yeah.
the biggest problem of feeling like you are different is like you take it as you're wrong. So kind of like
Hmm.
internalize it instead
Yeah.
of just take it as a, like we're all different. There is no even one person that it's the same as the other. It's just probably, you know, how many differences and how maybe visual they are at first.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree. Sorry, I was just going
yeah,
to
go
quickly say
on.
we internalize it, and that's how we start to form the idea or that belief system, which is not right, the limiting belief system around I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not tall enough, I'm not thin enough, because those thoughts start from very young age when we have those experiences as well.
Mhm,
And yes, you internalize it, so you actually it becomes like a truth. You really believe it, and you really think that's the truth. So you want to try and change that,
mhm,
and in trying to change it, you're losing your true aspect of who you are.
mhm. Yeah, I would say it really depends what kind of support system you have around you. Because
Mm-hmm.
probably like if you have a very supportive family that knows what's going on and know how to talk to you, but most of us obviously they don't have it. We don't have those
Yeah.
skills. um, you know, it's probably easier because they can explain to children, oh look, it is what it is, you know, and you can either do
Mm-hmm.
this or that. um, but as I said, it's probably very rare to have a support system like that.
Yeah. Yeah. You were going to say something before I interrupted you. Do you remember what it was?
I don't remember either. Tell me about like a positive situation, because we went to like this negative side, but like obviously there are good sides of being different too, and like you can, you know, choose from the range of experiences probably too, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's the good thing. It's good to have that balance. So I've had good stories of being different, and some funny ones as well. The funny one is that I was growing up, I've got three sisters who are older than me, and my parents like twice a year would try and send us to a tailor or a dressmaker to have like a special outfit. And my mom had this idea that she'd dress trying to she loves trousers. She loves wearing shorts and trousers, but hardly dress, probably rarely dresses. So she tried to dress us in like her, and she'll make these outfits, get the tailor to make these outfits, and and on special occasions, me and my sisters will be going out to these events, and I hated it. So I used to be hiding behind the shops when people pass the cars or the buses because I didn't want anyone to see me. But it was quite funny, you know, because I think looking back, something told me that I didn't want to look like anyone else. I wanted to dress up in dresses and I wanted to have my own personality. So that was a funny moment. But on the positive side, um, I just remember very young, being of all the six of us in my family, six children, being the one that was described as the academic one and or the bright one, as they say today. And very young, I just remember um, being in the river. So my mom and her friends, they take their children and they take the clothes and go and wash the clothes in the river. And it's like an all-day event where while the women are washing and they're talking about like maybe their movies, what the movies that they've watched, they talk about their husband and all like the drama that's going on in their life. The children will be doing the fishing and catching crayfish and playing with tadpoles in the water. And it was just really fun time. And I overheard my mom saying to her friends, she's gonna go far, and she's talking about me. And she kept saying that to them. And one of the neighbors said to her, "How do you know that?" And she said, "Well, she's different. She's different from the rest because I know she's gonna go far because there's something about her that makes me know that she's gonna go far." And I think I was probably 4 or 5. So, but that stuck with me, and I still remember that even after 40 something years, her saying that she's gonna go far. And the other example connected to that was in school. I was about 7 years old, and my favorite teacher, Miss Helen Bernard, um, was saying to the other teachers the same thing, like, she's really bright and I know she's going to go far. And another teacher was asking her the same thing. How do you know that? I mean, and they were really annoyed with the teacher saying, I mean, how can you tell that she's going to go far? So I overheard my mom and this teacher talking about me and me being different and how far I was going to go. And it really stuck with me, unconsciously probably, because I didn't
Mhm.
like sitting thinking, oh, I'm going to go far. But I look back and think, I think hearing that them speak about me so positively made me realize that as there's something different about me that I needed to trust, and it's really helped me to kind of reconnect to the, my difference. That whatever the gift I have in terms of my skills and experience, it's helping me to create my career. So that's my positive experience.
Mhm.
How about
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, it can really reinforce whatever difference you have and help you.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, for me, like one of the from early age, I was always very like smiley and laughing a lot. So um, people were noticing that. So I was always like people were kind of like tend to be more open around me.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it was annoying because they were sharing unnecessary stuff. But you know,
You're
since I
too
was
trusting.
yeah, since I was small, I was listening to adults' problems, which I didn't have a clue about. So it was interesting. Um, the other thing that I wanted to say was that I was always quite stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a way, it was bad because, like, I always knew what I wanted. And I kind of, so, like, if I wanted to do something, I would do it. And
Mm-hmm.
in a way, it was perceived as something bad and different, like I wouldn't just go with the flow, whatever. But on the other hand, like I remember like my mom, similar to your mom, was always praising that because she knew that whatever I want to achieve, I will achieve. So
Mm,
yeah, it again reinforces my kind of difference. So
yeah. So how have you done transfer that in your personal life in terms of parenting? How have you used, because you've got two daughters, how have you tried to encourage them with their differences? Given that we talked about our mom and how they've encouraged us.
yeah. So I would say with the older one, like she's much more like artsy and everything, and she can see that, yeah, she should be more sensitive, and you know, it's good that she embraces that through the art. So obviously, like when she was younger, she had problems with it because she noticed that she was like more shy. She was withdrawing from like a crowd of people. Where now she starts seeing that as quite positive.
Mhm.
So she doesn't any longer see that as a such a problem. Um, with the small one, she's totally opposite, which is good as well. I'd say as a parent, you have to notice those differences and help the child to understand how they can use them to their advantage. Obviously, we're not,
Yeah.
even if you have the best psychological knowledge in the world, you will have your moments. Let's face the fact.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
overall, I think it's important to kind of help children to understand that it's not bad to be different.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I think so. I think for me, that's how I brought my children up as well. I think I just recognized their difference quite early and really zoned in on it. And similar to you, one was shy, one was quiet, and one was out there, very dramatic. And just really, but they work really well together, but just really giving them space to express themselves in whatever way and trying to help them to find like their hobbies or the kind of friends that's gonna help them to develop that. But yes, there are times, as you said, even if I'm psychologically minded as well, where as a parent, because they're mixing with other children, they still have to try and compare themselves and try and follow the same fashion and trying to
Mhm.
fit in. So you have to have those moments where you're trying to encourage them. And I remember like in the secondary years, as they will get into the state of choosing to go sixth form and then university, that they were starting to really recognize the difference, but really struggling with it. And I was trying to say to them, don't worry, it doesn't matter in the end. You're going to end up, as long as you do what you love and you're passionate about it, you're going to end up being successful. And they couldn't understand it, because for them, that the school was saying you have to do it this way. Their friends were saying, trying to influence them. So it's very difficult to try and help them to connect to their difference. But I
Mhm.
think if you persist and you continue to encourage them, eventually they're gonna figure it out themselves.
Yeah, definitely. I
Yeah.
would like I would like to add also, because I think it's important that, for children like ours, like they are children of immigrants, so they have additional layer of being
Hmm.
different. And
Yes.
let's face the fact, they will never 100% feel like, they fit. So I
Yeah.
would say it's additional challenge for them.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that, because one of the things I wanted to talk about was the recent. I don't know if you saw it with the football, um, in terms of the England players, where they lost the final, the Euro final, on the penalty shootout. I'm not a
Mhm.
football fan, but I did watch the final. And the three people who didn't shoot goals were three black British, from different African roots, Caribbean roots, and they didn't shoot. They're really amazing players, but they just didn't shoot on the day, and they got a lot of racist
Mm.
backlash on social media. Marcus Rashford, who he's I think 23, he did a lot in the pandemic to raise money for children, and you know did a lot of political campaign to support families. So he's actually got I think he's an MBE. He's only 23, got an MBE, but because of his service to the community, when he was one of the people who missed the goal, but he was racially abused. They had like a mural of him. People went and destroyed it, and it was all about the end. The end. I won't call them these end people have lost the game, etc. So straight away, you can see that within the society, although it's supposed to be like the 21st century, there's still that mindset. And it doesn't matter how successful or how famous you are, there's still that layer of, if you look different, then you could be targeted or blamed. So it's still there. And you're right. I mean, for my daughters, they went to different school, but at some stage, when probably they were about say 7 and 10, I moved after my divorce to a community that was merely white. We had a really good time there. I'm not necessarily blaming the population, but in terms of how they felt in school, um, especially my elder one, she really struggled. She was tall, so that made a difference. like, but also black, and she struggled to fit in because she was the only black child in the classroom, and that really affected her self-esteem. And even just things like trying to find the right hair products and stuff like that, you couldn't find it in that community. And one of a friend of mine, she can understand, like, why do you need to go to London to get these products? So little things like that makes them aware of who they are, makes them have to think that they have to fight harder, they have to work harder.
Mhm.
And if you're not, as a parent, helping them to be feel positive about themselves, about who they are, it could impact on their mental health and well-being, and actually has impact on many young people who are from immigrant population, in
Mhm.
terms of
Mhm.
how they see themselves.
Mhm. Yeah, that's maybe another episode.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it is
absolutely.
huge. It is huge, and like, loads of people are now talking about it. Where 5 years ago, it was like a silence in this area of.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I'm aware that we had time. So you carry on, Sylvia. What were you going to say?
Yeah. Um, so I would say, even like, how how did you feel in your workplace as being different? Were you ever felt like, did you feel like you were different in the workplace because of like whatever reasons? And how did you manage to that?
Yeah, yeah, for many reasons, and not necessarily because of race, but more, um, I think difference. I think internally you feel different. So initially, when I moved to the UK, I felt different. I came with a lot of confidence because growing up in Tobago, I was confident in terms of my achievement, and I thought I could conquer the world. But then you come into a bigger culture where you're realizing, oh, there's a lot of people who are wanting to conquer the world. There's lots of little fishes in a big pond.
Yeah.
So it makes you really think about who you are, and it affected my confidence. And I didn't want to. I was worried about the way I sounded, how my language, that there was correct spelling, calling the words correctly, was I pronouncing the words correctly, and I was shy to speak up. So like in meetings, I probably didn't want to give my opinions because I thought people would be judging me the way I have a West Indian accent. But also, I had this idea in my head. I think that's from colonialism that maybe if you were born in the UK, you somehow more bright and you're more confident. So that affected me more in terms of my, I suppose, confidence in expressing myself and communicating. And but over time, I think the more as I studied psychology, I started to realize that actually it was my difference that made me why people like me and why people were curious about me and why people wanted to find out more about me. So why am I hiding it? So I've been able to turn that around over the years. But initially, yes, it did affect my confidence. And sometimes I think still in like new environments where I don't know the environment and maybe where it's corporate, really corporate, and there are people who are like the big CEOs or those big directors, and you kind of um, feel a bit like intimidated. So sometimes I might go back into my shell and feel like, oh my gosh, am I good enough to be here? Can I, am I
Yeah.
confident enough to express myself? So that's been my experience.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And you?
Yeah, similar experiences. Um, the other thing I remember, my earlier experience in life. So I was like, I had my first daughter when I was 25, and I was in my workplace back then. I was one of the only one mom, so that was, I remember feeling different just because nobody had those challenges as I did, so that I had to,
Mm-hmm.
go home on time, and you could feel that people will be looking at me like, what am I doing? Why am I not prioritizing work all the time? So
Mm-hmm.
that was really interesting as well. Very, I would say I've learned a lot from that experience too.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
it's
bet.
it should be natural, but yet
Yeah,
it's not.
yeah, yeah. And that's because, as you said, you're the like the odd one out, being the only parent. And even at, I mean, 25 is my eldest daughter is 26, so that's really considerably quite. Now I can imagine her having a baby, although she's old enough to. But 25 then would have been a different experience to 25 now,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just thinking about the expectations of you showing up in work and in the context of work that happens a lot as in our coaching, not just with city, like especially people who are working in the city who are maybe parents or yeah, so especially probably women, there is that pressure to work hard, try and juggle parenthood, etc. And it's having a huge impact on mental health
Mm-hmm.
because it's a struggle to try and um, be perfect at everything. And there's that pressure to say that, I guess we had the message from society, that generation before, or my generation, that you go to school, you go to secondary school, you go to university, you get a good job, you get married, you have children, have the perfect life, have the big house. But trying to do that and trying to fit in has put a lot of pressure on people. And I suppose I would like to encourage people to be just not, you don't have to fit in, you don't have to do it that way. You've got to find your own unique way to achieve. Because when you try to fit in and do it that way, like the only way, that's where the stress and burnout comes in a lot of the organizations that I work with. You see that people just really stress because they're not able to keep up
Yeah.
and with that family, that kind of expectation to be like everyone to be the same. So, so there is a lot of pressure to fit in and to adapt.
Yeah. Yeah, we kind of like spoke a lot about everything. What other experiences you would find helpful for others?
Well, I was just thinking about in terms of difference, what I've noticed, and we talked about that, isn't it? There's a new generation of young people, of I guess people who are starting to realize that they can be different and they can celebrate difference and they can fit in the way in which they want to do life. So you have the entrepreneurs now, a lot of young people becoming entrepreneurs. You've got the social influencers, you've got the TikTok generation that they're taking the leadership, they're taking it by hand and saying that we're not going to try and do it the way you do it, although some of that's probably not a good idea, but they're trying to lead from a different perspective. And I think that's a good thing. And I don't know if you saw, someone sent me one recently with I think it's China, I'm not absolutely sure, but the sort of like the millennium generation now in China, they're now starting to push back and starting to say that we're not going to be like working so hard and being so stressed because there's such a high rate of overwork and suicide in that population. So they're starting to say, no, we're going to do it differently. We're going to try and put pleasure and fun and play and creativity as important as work. So I think there's definitely a change in the culture. And I guess what I wanted to say as a not so much of my part of my experience, but also part of the message of this video is to encourage people to celebrate difference and to celebrate their uniqueness and try and tap into that. So that's what I wanted to kind of share as a takeaway. And I've got a few questions for them to consider, but before I do, was there anything else you wanted to add in terms of this conversation?
Oh, I really like that message, and to be honest, that's what I'm trying to show, especially to my children, that it's important to be different, and that's actually okay. Actually, it's even more than okay to be different, because that's how we should be celebrating life. Like, why would you have everything the same? Just imagine the entire world being the same. It'd be boring.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you think of creativity, how the world was created, there's so many varieties in it in terms of plants, flowers, animals, human beings, different races, color, class. Why would we want to be the same? So we need to turn it upside down and start to look at what is different about me, what is unique about me, and what is it that I have that's different that I can contribute to life, to society, and how can I do that rather than how can I try and be like this person.
And like, as you can see from very famous people, they all have something unique about them, and that's why they are actually that popular, not because they are like everyone else, just because they thrive on the differences.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I think the people who stand up more in society and are the ones who have tapped into their differences, and they've got something different to introduce to society and to the world, and that's what we go for. So it's a good way to encourage people to hold on to your difference, celebrate it, and yeah, don't be afraid to be who you are.
Yeah, 100.
So on this, sorry.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that.
Brilliant. So on this note, we can go on forever and ever, but the time is running out. We just really want to thank everyone for supporting us, for following us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you've got any comments about this topic, please don't hold back. Just put your comments in the comment bar. And
Yes,
thank you for
yes.
watching.
Thank you very much. And like we are less active recently just because of the summer holidays. So like from our own perspective, we're taking more time to relax, and plus we understand that no, but like people in general have less time. They prefer to spend it outside, but try to tune in and
Yes.
follow new episodes. Like we really appreciate that and all of your support.